Tonight, we bring you a different kind of story about Nelson Mandela, who died yesterday at 95. It's already Saturday morning in South Africa.
Do you remember when Nelson Mandela was said to be dead, sometime in the 1980s?
On this day in 1990, just 3 days removed from prison, CBS News spoke with Nelson Mandela at his home in South Africa.
Maybe you even saw the news reports. Back in the year 2009, paranormal researcher Fiona Broome noticed something strange. Thousands of people scattered across the world remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison during the 1980s. The only problem is that he passed away in 2013. That eerie realization gave birth to what we now call the Mandela Effect, false memories shared by entire communities. And as the times change, something far more disturbing unfolds. But before we dive into these spine-chilling examples, you need to understand the terrifying science behind why millions of people can share the exact same false memory. How can so many minds share identical false memories, as if pulled from some hidden collective dream? The science of shared delusions. Let's unravel the chilling science behind the Mandela Effect. This phenomenon will make you question the very fabric of your reality. Picture your brain as a vast library filled with countless shelves of memories. But here's the unsettling truth: it's not a perfect record keeper. When gaps appear in our recollection, a process called confabulation kicks in. Our minds, desperate for completeness, fill those empty spaces with what we expect to be true, crafting details that feel as real as anything we've lived through. A character should have a certain feature, and a logo must include a familiar symbol. So our brains paint those elements into the picture, even if they were never there to begin with. Now, let's dive deeper into a groundbreaking discovery from the University of Chicago. In a study that shook the foundations of memory research, scientists proved the existence of the visual Mandela effect. They found that specific images, like iconic logos or beloved characters, consistently trigger the same false memories across countless individuals. Participants, shown familiar visuals, confidently recalled details that simply didn't exist, and even when shown the correct versions, they drew the wrong ones just minutes later. This was the first scientific evidence that our shared delusions aren't random. They follow eerie, predictable patterns. But how do these false memories spread so widely? Enter the concept of memory contagion. Like a virus leaping from host to host, false memories travel from person to person, amplified by the digital age. Social media platforms, where ideas ricochet at lightning speed, turn a single mistaken recollection into a global phenomenon. One post, one viral video, and suddenly thousands believe in a reality that never was, each reinforcing the other's distorted truth. And here's where it gets stranger. You'd think digital permanence, with endless archives at our fingertips, would anchor our memories to fact, yet it does the opposite. The constant flood of information, remixes, and reinterpretations makes our memories more malleable, bending them under the weight of suggestion. A staggering statistic drives this home. False information spreads 70% faster than truth on social media, infecting minds before the real story can catch up. Now that you understand the terrifying science, let's examine the 10 most chilling cases where reality itself seems to have shifted. How has modern technology, the very backbone of our connected world, birthed entirely new kinds of Mandela effects? Distortions that simply couldn't have existed before the internet age. 10. The fruit of the Loom cornucopia conspiracy. People remembered it clearly. Apples, grapes, and green leaves spilling out of a woven brown cornucopia. The fruit of the Loom logo was etched into lunchboxes, commercials, and Sunday laundry routines. Only it never existed. There was never a cornucopia, not on packaging, print ads, or even archival branding files. And yet, millions insisted otherwise. In early 2024, a TikTok account posted what appeared to be undeniable proof. An old, wrinkled t-shirt printed with the logo, complete with the horn of plenty. Another user uploaded what they claimed was a newspaper ad from the 1980s. Both posts went viral, sparking an avalanche of digital sleuthing. People combed eBay, scoured thrift stores, and paused vintage sitcoms, looking for evidence to back up what they swore they saw. It became a kind of digital archaeology, a desperate search through forgotten JPEGs and low-res screenshots, not just for the truth, but for memory itself. And with every comment, share, and repost, the false image embedded itself deeper. So real, it seemed reality had shifted to make room for it. 9. Tinkerbell's vanishing Disney magic. Ask anyone who grew up watching Disney movies, and they might describe a scene you cannot find. They say Tinkerbell floated in, waved her wand, and dotted the I in the Disney logo with a sparkle of pixie dust. But search through official intros, digital archives, and VHS tapes, there is no such moment. Still, the memory persisted. So vividly, in fact, that in May 2024, a Reddit user claimed to find a trace of it on an old Little Einstein's DVD menu. They posted a grainy video clip showing a wand motion synced almost too perfectly with the iconic font. The internet exploded. Had it been erased in later remasters? Was it a one-off used in TV promos? Or was this just another hallucination shared by millions? As content gets re-edited, compressed, and remastered for new formats, our brains struggle to pin down a single definitive version. We remember the feeling, not the footage. And sometimes that feeling rewrites the facts. 8. Pikachu's missing black tail tip. Bright yellow with red cheeks and a bolt-shaped tail. Ask a room full of people to draw Pikachu, and at least half will colour the tail's tip black. Except Pikachu never had a black tip, not in the games, anime, or official cards. Still, the memory won't go away. Psychologists call this feature filling. Our minds tend to insert details we expect to see based on patterns. Since Pikachu's ears have black tips, our brains unconsciously apply the same logic to the tail. The effect is multiplied by decades of fan art, knockoff merch, and even Halloween costumes where the tail was incorrectly designed. In communities like DeviantArt and Tumblr, these visual errors became self-reinforcing. The more people saw it wrong, the more it felt right. Pause this video now. Ask someone near you to describe Pikachu's tail. Their answer might surprise you. These are not just quirky mistakes, they are symptoms of something deeper. The internet age is not just preserving our memories, it is rewriting them. And as content cycles through platforms and generations, nostalgia and reality blend until we can no longer tell where one ends and the other begins. But these digital distortions, as strange as they are minor compared to what comes next. Because some Mandela effects didn't start online, some have haunted humanity for decades. 7. The Berenstain Bears spelling nightmare. Millions grew up with the storybook family, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and the curious cubs, brother and sister. Their name for some was etched in memory as Berenstain, with an EIN. For others, the switch to stain felt abrupt and surreal. In online forums and Reddit threads, it became a cultural flashpoint. TikTok videos showed users pulling out ancient books from their attics, zooming in on the covers in disbelief. Many swore their childhood copies used the EIN version, but no official print ever did. It had always been Berenstain. This wasn't just a misspelling, it became the poster child for the Mandela Effect. Psychologists now say children's memories, formed during developmental stages, are especially susceptible to suggestion. If every friend on the playground called them the Berenstain Bears, that's how the memory settled. It raised an unsettling question. If one of our earliest childhood memories could be that wrong, what else have we misremembered? 6. Nelson Mandela's prison death delusion. Before all the cereal boxes, cartoons, and logos, there was the man himself, Nelson Mandela. For thousands of people, the memory was chillingly vivid. They remembered watching his funeral on television, hearing his widow speak, and seeing riots break out across South Africa in the aftermath. All of it, they claimed, happened in the 1980s, years before Mandela was actually released from prison in 1990 and later became president. This shared false memory was so persistent that it gave birth to the entire term, the Mandela Effect. A researcher named Fiona Broome coined it after realizing her detailed memories of Mandela's death, none of which had happened, were shared by strangers. This wasn't an internet-era glitch. This memory contagion spread before social media. Some psychologists now believe early examples like this spread through casual conversation, news misinterpretations, and the simple power of suggestion. You hear a classmate say Mandela died, and you assume it must be true. Over time, the idea hardens like concrete. Today, this case still stirs debate. How could so many recall the same false event down to specific details without digital manipulation? Or was it manipulated, just not digitally? 5. The Monopoly Man's phantom monocle. You can probably see him now. Rich Uncle Pennybags, also known as the Monopoly Man. Round belly, top hat, cane, and of course, a monocle. Except, no monocle. Never had one. The shock of this revelation has echoed through classrooms, living rooms, and social media for years. The false memory is so common that it even tripped up researchers at the University of Chicago. In a visual study, new participants were asked to draw the Monopoly Man after seeing him only briefly. Overwhelmingly, they added a monocle, even though he never wore one. This is where science steps in. Psychologists call it expectation bias. Our brains use templates to fill in gaps. To many of us, the image of a wealthy old man must include a monocle. It's a shortcut based on repeated cultural exposure. Characters like Mr. Peanut or Scrooge McDuck reinforcing the trope. So, our memory obeys the pattern, not the truth. Want to test yourself? Ask a friend, without Googling, to describe the Monopoly Man. If they include the monocle, show them this part of the video. Then watch their faces shift. And this is where it gets truly eerie. Because if our memories can be fooled by something as innocent as a board game or a bare family name, what happens when we misremember something deeper, something more human? It's funny that what many walked away with in cinemas never really happened. The Mandela Effect in Hollywood is more than just a misheard quote. It is a collective illusion etched into memory not by fact, but by feeling. 4. Star Wars Phantom Father, quote. Take the Star Wars Phantom of the Father quote, for example. He stood there, mask gleaming under the Death Star's sterile light. In every playground reenactment, in every meme, every Halloween echo, the line went, "Luke, I am your father." But that line, it was never spoken. In the original 1980 release of The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader's actual words were, "No, I am your father." Yet millions remember it differently. So how did this version become more dominant than the film itself? Scholars point to a phenomenon called semantic anchoring. Misquotes that carry personal names feel more direct and impactful and are easier to repeat. Pop culture added fuel. Toy commercials, comedy sketches, even sitcom parodies from the 1990s repeated the altered version. Soon, even fans who had seen the movie multiple times began replacing memory with mimicry. And that brings us to the unnerving part. If one of history's most famous movie quotes can be overwritten, what else have we silently rewritten? 3. Snow White's mirror mystery. Remember when the Queen steps to the glass, voice slow and venomous? Ask anyone to recite it. They will likely chant, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." Yet, when you go back and listen, she says, "Magic mirror on the wall." It is a subtle shift, but a powerful one. For decades, this line stood unchallenged in children's minds. Many point to the title of the 2012 Julia Roberts film, Mirror, Mirror, as the cement that locked the false memory in place. The film reintroduced the phrase to a new generation who never thought to question it. Psychologists believe early exposure plays a role. Children absorb stories before their logical filters are formed. Any repetition, through dolls, books, cartoons, or even playground games, burns the phrasing deeper than the original script. So when people later encounter the real line, it feels wrong, even fake, Like the movie itself has changed, but it hasn't. We have. 2. The Sinbad Genie movie that never was. It might be the most famous Mandela Effect of them all. A mysterious film called Shazam, starring comedian Sinbad as a bumbling genie. People remember the cover. They remember the scenes, the jokes, the kids in the attic, the magic lamp. But here's the truth. That movie never existed. Sinbad himself has repeatedly confirmed he never played a genie in any film. And yet, thousands of people, not just online, but across generations, swear they saw it. Some even describe watching it with family. Others remember renting the VHS. They can picture the video box, the storyline, even the ending. So, what is happening here? Experts call this source confusion. It occurs when separate memories merge into one. In this case, people likely fused memories of Sinbad's comedy specials, the 1996 movie Kazam, starring Shaquille O'Neal, and perhaps even scenes from All That or First Kid, all floating around during the same era. But the most disturbing part isn't that the movie doesn't exist. It's that people remember it with such clarity. Specific clothing, character names, and whole plot arcs. Details that usually fade with time seem stronger when attached to fiction. It's as if the brain filled in blanks to make a story feel whole. If you remember the Sinbad Genie movie, comment below. What scene do you recall? Who else was in it? What color was the genie costume? Be honest. As we've seen, memory is fragile and pop culture plays the puppeteer. It crafts icons, repeats them until they ossify, then lets them drift until we're no longer sure where they came from. These aren't just fun glitches, they're warnings. Because if we can misremember Vader's line, the Queen's chant, or an entire movie that never existed, what else have we gotten wrong? Next, we leave behind cinema's illusions and head into something far more innocent and disturbing. 1. Curious George's vanishing tail. He swung from vines, landed in messes, and grinned widely with his tiny monkey face. For millions of children growing up in the 1980s and 90s, Curious George wasn't just a cartoon character. He was a playmate, a mischievous companion with big brown eyes and a bottomless sense of wonder. But ask those same now adults to describe George in detail, and nearly all of them agree on one thing. He had a tail, a curly little monkey tail that sometimes got him into trouble. Except he didn't. There has never been a tail. Curious George, beloved as he was, has always been tailless. And yet, this memory haunts people. It's not just a vague hunch. They remember the tail. They remember it getting caught in the doors, twirling like a corkscrew when he jumped. Some even claim they saw it in books they read every night before bed. So, what happened? The answer may lie in something surprisingly innocent. Logic. Our brains crave patterns and consistency. All monkeys have tails, so why wouldn't George? According to cognitive psychologists, this is a classic case of feature filling. Our memories don't just store facts like a hard drive. They rebuild scenes each time we recall them, sometimes inserting the pieces that should be there. But there's a twist that makes this case even more unsettling. Children's brains are wired differently. Unlike adults, they focus on big picture impressions more than fine details. This means that what we remember from childhood, especially with stories we saw over and over, might be a blend of emotion, logic, and guesswork. The tail on George isn't just a mistake. It's a symbol of how even our most cherished childhood memories might be built on assumptions we never questioned. And it gets creepier. What happens when millions of people share the same false memory? Welcome to the new era of digital memory contagion. The internet, where anyone can post a theory, a blurry screenshot, or a lost clip, isn't just a vault of knowledge. It's a breeding ground for echo chambers. If one user on Reddit says they remember George's tail and another agrees, a snowball effect starts. Before long, entire communities emerged, swapping proofs, drawing fan art, and even forging VHS covers to match their shared memory. That's the echo chamber effect. Repetition breeds reinforcement. And in the world of false memories, exposure is all it takes to blur what's real and what's not. According to recent studies, once you see a Mandela effect discussed online, your chances of developing the same false memory increase drastically, even if you never thought of it before. But the real kicker is that algorithms might be making this worse. AI-driven recommendation engines don't just show us more of what we like, they show us more of what we agree with. That means if you click on one video about Curious George's missing tail, you'll suddenly get flooded with others. And not just about George. You'll see Darth Vader quotes, Monopoly monocles, and the Berenstain Bears conspiracy. Each one reinforces the last. Each one tightens the loop. Some experts have begun calling this a digital hallucination. Others take it further. They say we may be living in the early days of an accidental experiment in mass memory manipulation, not through force, but through exposure, design, and convenience, and it's accelerating. Since 2020, researchers have tracked a dramatic increase in reported Mandela effects. Some blame the explosion of screen time during the pandemic. Others point to more fringe ideas, like the 2022 reboot of CERN's Large Hadron Collider. Within weeks of that restart, Mandela Effect forums on TikTok and YouTube exploded in growth. Coincidence or causality? What's the earliest false memory you can remember having? A cartoon, a quote, or a logo? Share it in the comments. You might be surprised by how many others remember the exact same impossible thing. Because when your memories start to slip and the truth can no longer be trusted, the final question becomes terrifyingly simple. If your past can be changed, then how safe is your present?